Welcome everybody to the Keys to Wisdom channel. This morning here, I just want to do something fairly simple. I want to relate it into our calendar, what's going on in Ukraine, and what's going to happen, right, via what's going on in Ukraine. So I'm taking the two words, Russia and then Ukraine, and here I'm putting in the center or, right, and we got a key here that's the main key, the final key, something that can be looked at as 2023, right? And then also this question here, Russia or Ukraine in 2023, right? We all know they're related. What's going on there? I'm thinking it is a relation in terms of the territorial namesake of Ukraine, especially Crimea and the additional oblasts that Russia has annexed from Ukraine, right? So the eastern part of Ukraine, that new eastern land bridge all the way to to Crimea, and possibly, right, it could even be the entire east of the Dnieper River by the time this whole thing is over with. So I'm seeing a relation into 2023 in this question, Russia or Ukraine. And the reason I'm making the video, and hopefully it won't go too long, is when I put Russia and Ukraine, right, 2024. So here we sit in the final days of 2022. The conflict is raging in Ukraine. It is a mutual fault situation where all sides involved are wrong in what they're doing, and it's going to take both sides to stop doing the bullshit that they're doing to make some type of peace agreement, right? And the main thing that's in the way of that right now is what those lands are going to be called at the end of the thing. So what we see is a chronological order here going on within the word, right? Russia or Ukraine, right? And here we've got Russia and Ukraine. So if I relate this into those currently uh, contested pieces of land right now, right? Here in where it's showing 2024, it says it's Russia and Ukraine. Here in 2023, right, we're going to enter the year. There's still a question, Ukraine and those who back the atrocities that Ukraine commits on a daily basis all say that all of that Ukraine territory will be back to Ukraine. Russia says all that territory is staying Russia, right? That's the big holdup of the deal, and it's causing massive amounts of atrocities on both sides, right? Russia's attacking the power grid and other different things, and Ukraine has been nonstop shelling big cities like Donetsk for ever since 2014, right? The slaughter of the Russian people in eastern Ukraine has been going on a lot longer than any of the pain is being felt in the western Ukraine and other parts of Ukraine. But that's the contention right now, right? Will that landmass become Russia, or will that landmass be called Ukraine, right? Eventually, when this gets sorted out, there's going to be new maps made, and there's going to be a name on those lands right now that are controlled by Russia right now, right? Really, the parts of those four oblasts that they have annexed are actually controlled. Russia controls most of them, but Ukraine has some holdings in those annexed oblasts as well. So this is the question that we're heading into 2023 about: Russia or Ukraine. This is the question that holds up the peace, and this is the question really that is destroying the lives of absolutely everybody in the world, particularly in Europe. Europe is being absolutely destroyed by this war. They are by far the biggest victim, even bigger than Ukraine, and what is happening there, right? But this affects every single person in the world when they go to the grocery store, when they turn on their lights, they turn on their heat, you name it, right? It's costing absolutely everybody, every country that's backing up and helping Ukraine is being fleeced doubly, right? When their tax dollars and government dollars are being sent to Ukraine, and on the other end, when they go to consume the things that they consume, they're being hammered both ways, right? And of course, the people in Russia are also suffering both ways from the activity going on in Ukraine on behalf of their government, right? They're having Everybody in the world is having serious problems, but that's the question. Russia or Ukraine, that's the land deal, right? We could have peace right now if Ukraine would let go of some of that land and Russia got security agreements. It's over. Or we could have peace right now if Russia let go of all that land and pulled back those troops. It's over, right? There's no doubt about it. That's what's continuing this war, and that's the disagreement. Russia or Ukraine, those Crimea and those 4 oblasts, right? That is the issue. That's the only reason everything is continuing. That's the only reason everybody in the world is continuing to suffer and be attacked along with both sides in Ukraine, the Ukrainians and the Russians, right? That's the reason why, that's the holdup, right? And then here again, we're going in chronological order, 2023 to 2024. It says Russia and Ukraine, right? And hopefully this is what we're seeing here is a little bit of a peace, right? Where perhaps some of the area will be called Russia and some of the area will be called Ukraine by 2024, and that's going to be decided, right, generally in 2023. What we're seeing right now is massive propaganda efforts on both sides in Russia and in the West to continue to put out what is basically fake news on both sides, right? The majority of people do not support any of this, and they do not support themselves being harmed by it, but nonstop the West is putting out nothing but propaganda against Russia, and on Russian side they're putting out all kind of propaganda against the West, right? It's basically 2 big liars, 2 big sides, both committing atrocities and war crimes. There is nobody innocent in this war whatsoever, not the government of Ukraine, not the West backing them, and not Russia, right? Everybody's guilty in this war. Everybody is being attacked worldwide in this war, and everybody is lying about this war on both sides. But these 2 phrases, it's a very simple thing, right? We're heading into 2023. This is the question. That's what's keeping everything going. And eventually that question gets sorted out with whatever the answer is going to be. And it's showing 2023, 2024. So hopefully we see an end to this because, right, the pandemic and all of the actions taken on the pandemic had already begun destroying the world and killing so many people. The lockdowns, travel restrictions, all that stuff, our economies, our food security, our fuel security was destroyed massively before Ukraine even started. Ukraine is now continuing those same attacks upon everybody in the world that the pandemic restrictions and measures took. The pandemic measures taken have killed so many more people than they ever saved. They really didn't save anybody whatsoever. None of the actions taken on the pandemic have saved anybody, but we're going to have tens of millions minimum from those actions starving to death worldwide. And then Ukraine has continued that starvation of all these people outside of Ukraine, right? All these different poor places made everything worse. And as long as it keeps continuing, it's that death toll from the pandemic and the war in Ukraine is just only gonna grow and grow, right? Perhaps to hundreds of millions of people starving to death, right? We see it everywhere, even in places that should have tons and tons and tons of food available, they don't. In places they should have tons and tons and tons of energy and tons of energy security available, they don't, right? Because everything's been being nonstop destroyed from the pandemic now into this Ukraine war, and the world needs a break from it. And the world also needs a break from the psychological attacks that have been going on nonstop. The pandemic was the biggest psychological operation and attack on humanity in history, and now it's being continued with the threats of World War III and nuclear exchange and nuclear annihilation, right? The world needs a fucking break from these assholes who are doing this shit to everybody, right? And this here provides the question and the answer to everything going on, as well as the 2 years where we're hopefully going to see it, right? The way I'm looking at it, it's already written, it's already said, right? That 2023 is, we're going to go in just like we are with the question over Russia or Ukraine. Does this area belong to Russia, or does this area belong to Ukraine? And it's already written and already said that we're going in with that question. That's going to be solved, and then in the next year out, 2024, right? Russia and Ukraine, right? Because really, no matter how much the propaganda keeps going, if they continue this destruction everywhere, right? Those who have been doing the destruction from the pandemic on are going to start putting themselves in danger of being destroyed, because absolutely nobody anywhere wants any part of this shit, right? People are fed up all over the place with the bullshit that has happened to them from the pandemic and continues to happen to them from Ukraine, and all of the psychological fucking bullshit that has been happening to them from their medias and their governments and everything else, right? The world has been majorly destabilized. Everybody everywhere can look and see their lives are much worse, and there's only one set of people to blame for any of it anywhere, and that's the people that are in charge everywhere. So this whole question here in this timeline, right, it's probably their last year to actually continue doing what they're doing, because if they keep going, well, they're not going to keep going. The people are not going to have the fucking shit that's going on. So Russia or Ukraine, 2023, Russia and Ukraine, 2024, as we sit here in the last days of 2022 and we head into the situation. This is very simple: 3 words and 3 other words, and or, right? Chronological order, right? That looks like what's going on, right? And hopefully it would actually get settled very early in 2023, because we can't, the things are so bad now and they've destroyed the world so bad, we can't really handle another year of their bullshit, their psychological, economic, all facet war against all people in the world, right? That the leaders, all leaders of the world have been waging, right? Hopefully this gets settled real soon in 2023, doesn't drag out the whole year, and we enter into 2024, it's already settled, right? And the absolute war of terror and destruction that's been happening to the world since 2020 will hopefully be over. So with that said, please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you think that's something you should do, and have a nice day.